right. So, this next story is one of our two 2023 Green Feather Award winning stories. Connections with Sage the Fungi by writing duo Haifa Maung and Fia Layne Campos, juniors at Culver City High School, read by Yasmine Al-Bustami. The Green Feather Award is our prize for the best eco-themed science fiction presented in partnership with Nature Nexus Institute. And this award is for stories that incorporate themes such as protecting biodiversity and addressing climate change, and also showing humanity and how humanity works towards solutions to our environmental crisis.
Yeah, let's go.
So, Yasmine has appeared on shows like The Originals, and you can currently catch her on The Chosen and NCIS Hawaii. Yasmine?
Hi, y'all. Connections with Sage the Fungi. Their light pink curly hair flowed through the stagnant air as they ran through the forest. Their pink feet flounced through the high grasses as the crinkly noises of plastic filled their ears. In an attempt to catch their breath, they leaned a hand against a nearby oak tree. Although Sage was deep in the forest, their bodies suddenly tingled with the sound of their mother's voice calling them to come back to the log. Their hearts raced as they realized they were finally a part of the mycelial network. Around the age of 20, Pleurotus fungi are able to communicate through electrical impulses, entering intricate networks. Sage's spore-filled skin latched onto the bark as they moved from one end of a tree to another, finally reaching their moss-filled log home. Congratulations, Sage, Sage's mom said. You can now explore the forest without me tagging along, and start to get ready for your Pleurotus ceremony. Sage's mother told them to check in on the enzymes that had been worked on overnight so she could use them to make extra nitrates and phosphates for the spring season. As Sage walked, earthworms recycled nutrients, and a cluster of fungi rushed toward a newly bloomed flower. With love, their hyphae extended out of their pink curly hair, absorbing the oxygen particles. Sage's father greeted them with love. Thank you all for clustering around during the new season to send off my child. We thank the oaks, stars, the sun, the sprouts, and all of our fungi friends. Please unite to welcome Sage as a jammer. Go find your bond, he said. Sage wandered into the forest, knowing they had to find their mycorrhiza bond. As they fell deeper and deeper into the forest, they looked up, and the familiar sight of the tree filled their vision. Before Sage could understand the attraction that flickered between the oak tree and them, the roots that held onto the plant tightly broke free and extended towards Sage's pink body. A deep embrace was shared between them as the tree's roots wrapped around Sage's body, allowing time to flow between them. Sage could now travel into the past or future. Please, a familiar voice said. Father? Sage said. It was their father, but he sounded much younger. And Sage realized they'd gone back in time. I just got this job and have my own children to take care of, an unknown human yelled. Sage's father pleaded, please don't hurt us. I will do anything you want. Please just leave us alone. If it's not in your community, then you have to help us find another space, the human said. I'm sorry, Sage's dad said. I can't give you any other land. We must all exist together. Then I have no choice but to exterminate your cluster, the human said. Was Sage's father talking to a human, Sage thought? Ever since they'd been young, Sage had been forbidden to talk to humans, even though their father was half human and half Pleurotus jammer. Most of the fungi were terribly scared of humans because of what they'd done to the Pleurotus austriatus community 20 years ago. That was when the humans wiped out the austriatus clusters and dumped millions of plastic pieces onto their home. Fine, Sage's father said, I will help you get to the austriatus community, but you have to stay away from my family. Now, covered in sweat, Sage sat against their oak tree as the vision ended. Hurt fueled their steps as Sage headed back to the ceremony. "Did you find your mycorrhiza bond?" Sage's mom asked when they returned. Sage barely heard her words. Their focus stayed on their father because of the past the tree had shown them. Angry words spilled out of Sage. "How could you do that to the Ostreatus cluster?" Father looked at them with shock. "How did you find out? You were never supposed to know." Before they knew what they were doing, Sage ran. It was the night of Sage's ceremony, and they finally found their bond, but were too angry to feel excited. Even though Sage wanted to escape into the stillness of the night, they knew they couldn't leave. They found themselves back at the oak tree, hoping for some guidance. They closed their eyes and placed their forehead against the tree. The energy around them surged and transformed, and when Sage opened their eyes, it was no longer nighttime. There was a new aliveness within the forest. Sage looked up, and for the first time, they saw the Ostreatus fungi. They existed in little family clusters, eating the decomposing wood, showering the earth with love as they spread minerals and nutrients back into the soil. Sage realized that somehow, with the tree's help, they traveled through the dimensions of time. Their pink gills fluttered up and down in joy, but their peace drizzled away and an emptiness filled them. Sage called on their oak for guidance. How could they prevent the mass death of the Ostreatus fungi? Once again, Sage placed their forehead on the oak tree, and this time, they traveled to a future reality where the forest was lush and free of plastic. As their eyes wandered in admiration, they saw a line of Ostreatus fungi eating microplastics in unison. Then it hit Sage. All of us, all oyster mushrooms, are able to decompose plastic. They had to save the Ostreatus. So as Sage stood up, something grabbed them from behind and everything went black. They woke up to harsh, blinding bright lights. Sage looked around and found they were lying on top of a table. They heard approaching voices. "Should we take it out?" asked a human in a lab coat. A hand grabbed Sage again. In an attempt to escape, their hyphae latched onto the human and Sage fell onto the floor. The human screamed. "It's adhered its roots onto my arm and it's releasing paralyzing mycelium into my skin." Sage let go of the human and ran to the partially open door, slipping through the crack. Their vision blurred with fear, and as they calmed and looked ahead, their gaze was met by a large set of eyes belonging to a female human who followed them. Tubes and strange instruments sat atop a desk behind the human. "I can help you escape," she said. "You can trust me. I'm trying to find a way to save the forest before plastic disrupts the natural ecosystem." Sage walked closer to her and said, "The Ostreatus clusters can eat plastics. That's how we can save them," she said. "Can I extract some of your DNA?" Sage nodded, and as the female human grabbed different liquids, she explained that she needed to imprint Sage's spores on the disc so that it could read their DNA structure and collect a sample. "I'm going to build a chemical compound that includes your DNA so that the molecular structure of polythene can be broken down." Observing Sage's confused look, she added, "Polythene is just plastic." She grabbed a plastic water bottle from the corner of her desk and poured a strange liquid on it. After some time passed, the plastic started to melt. She took some more of the liquid and poured it into a small flower pot that had a tiny sprout. The sprout grew an inch immediately. She smiled. "Your DNA structure allows for not only plastic degeneration, but the creation of more nitrates and phosphates as the polymer breaks apart." "Let's go save the Ostreatus," Sage said. They walked out the door, and the human gathered the scientists around. She explained their discovery, and everyone cheered. "I have to get back to the tree," Sage said. The human walked with Sage through the forest. "My name's Phoenix," she said. "I was named after Pleurotus pulmonarius because my mother strongly believed that the fungi could save our planet." "Thank you so much, Phoenix. I couldn't have done this on my own." There's a sacredness in our complexity, but humans are just as complex and intricate. You are creatures capable of much change. Sage met Phoenix's eyes. You are capable of much change. They said their goodbyes, and Sage approached the tree. After stopping in the past to save the Ostreatus, they would make their way back to the present. Deep relief filled their hearts because they finally understood the complexity of their dad's decision. Sage felt a softness awaken within them, and they knew to forgive him. As they pressed their forehead against the tree, they felt history live within them. When they arrived back in the present, Sage ran to their dad, and as they and their father's pink gills hugged each other, their mother's arms wrapped around them both. As their bodies bonded in stillness, Sage was filled with gratitude. All living organisms, including humans, should all be given the space to learn, change, and explore themselves in communion with nature. Thank you, guys.